comparison to the rest of the votes on the board. At this point, I'd now like to direct the board's attention to a memorandum from my office dated December the 6th, 2021, identifying matters to be considered as routine agenda items, together with any corrections and additions that have been noted by our comptroller. I will at this point entertain a motion to approve all items contained on the routine agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The routine agenda items have been adopted. The first non-routine agenda item today can be found on pages 117 through 118. Item number 8, renewal of contract of B50002877. This is an annual renewal of a long-term installation and servicing contract with ITROM Incorporated for water meters. At this time, I would like to recognize representatives from the Department of Public Works or Procurement to speak on the behalf of this item.
Mr. President,
Yes.
it's Matt Garbark. I can explain the purpose of this item on behalf of the Department of Public Works.
Thank you so much, Deputy Commissioner Garbark. It was hard for me to get that out.
No problem.
At this point, the floor is yours, Deputy Commissioner.
Thank you very much. I'm joined today by Steve Strickland. He is the interim chief of the meter shop for the Department of Public Works. And he'll be able to answer any specific questions or provide some more details that as might be needed. But I want to do real briefly is just explain this contract. There's been a lot of confusion over this and the role ITRON plays over the last year, and recommend that the board approve the renewal of the contract with ITRON. So the renewal requires no additional funding. The action is just an authorization to continue working with ITRON. The contract has sufficient funding on it, so there is no additional funding needed. But as you mentioned, Mr. President, this is a rather significant contract overall. It was originally approved in 2014, and the city entered into the contract to basically overhaul and upgrade all of our water meters under Baltimore City's jurisdiction. That equates to about 400,000. There's 200,000, give or take, in Baltimore City, another 200,000 or so in Baltimore County. So every one of those meters was upgraded or installed. A new one was installed. That was the bulk of the value of the contract. In addition, Baltimore City has what's called fixed infrastructure. It's called an automated metering infrastructure, which is AMI. And that means that there are repeaters and collectors. These are devices that are permanently affixed to structures around the city that receive signals from the meters that were installed. That is only in Baltimore City. So they wirelessly transmit signals from consumption to these devices, which then transmits that into data for billing. In Baltimore County, they have a different way of doing that. It's called advanced metering, meter reading, which is AMR, where a meter technician actually drives a vehicle with a mobile collector that collects all of the reads in the county. That mobile collector is then connected to our systems and uploaded for bill printing at that point. So the bulk of this contract paid for the installation of this infrastructure, both the meters as well as the repeaters and the collectors. What the renewal does is, now that all that stuff has been installed, it pays for a couple of things. First of all, it pays for a ITRON technician to be on staff and dedicated to Baltimore City to be able to maintain, operate, fix, address any of those repeaters or collectors that may not be working or that have an issue. It was designed to have redundancy throughout the city so that if one repeater or collector is down, other collectors, repeaters can collect that information. But we need to make sure that those things are maintained. It requires an expertise and a knowledge on that particular type of hardware as well as cellular technology. And we have found it to be very beneficial to have ITRON on staff. We do not pay per service request or incident. It is a flat rate that we pay for this individual to be on staff. The other portion of the contract we pay is annual licensing agreements. That's for 2 software systems that we use, one of which is called Choice Connect. It actually collects the meter reads and translates that into consumption data. And the other system, it's called FCS, but that actually takes that data and then puts it into a usable format for our billing software. So we pay licensing fees for that, and that includes upgrades when there are new versions available, as well as support for the software. I do want to mention that that is all we pay for. The city owns, or the city manipulates and controls the software itself. So we can make changes, we can deal with stuff. We're the ones that operate that software. We do not pay Itron to operate it. We pay them to support us if there are issues that we need support for. So I also want to note that Itron is not involved in any actual meter repairs or upgrades or installations at this point. They installed the original meters. They no longer have any role in that. They are only maintaining our fixed infrastructure and are helping to maintain and provide support for the software. All meter technician work is done in-house by our water meter technicians. If we do need contractual support, we have separate contractors who specialize in large meter repair. So that's the basic overview of the contract itself. And again, this renewal would get us through another year of that support. But I know there are some questions on this, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone might have, or Mr. Strickland could also answer questions if I'm unable to. So thank you.
No, thank you, Mr. Garbark. At this time, members of the board, are there any questions, concerns for the Department of Public Works? Seeing that, hearing and seeing no questions from board at this point, I'll entertain a motion for us to proceed.
I move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. This item is now approved. This is the only item that's on our agenda from a non-routine perspective today. At this point, if there's any other questions or concerns or comments from members of the board? Hearing and seeing none, as there's no new business before the desk, the board will recess until bid opening at 12 noon. The Board of Estimates will reconvene on Wednesday, December the 15th at 9 a.m. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in Baltimore. Happy holidays, and we absolutely love you.